Hello class, we're going to show you how to get going with XAMPP so that you can create CGI scripts on your home computer and debug them. Remember that Perl allows you to write programs which will execute from the command line. You can execute them in Padre, our Perl editor, but if you want to run a CGI script, it has to be served up by a web server. We're using Apache, which is in the XAMPP package, and that's why we've got it going. I've got the control panel going here now, and I want to show you a couple things you can do to make working with it more easy. I'm going to click on the config button here, and I want you to see what I've done. I hope you can see it. It's a little bit small, but I have set up the editor to be Padre. Okay, if you click on this and browse to the location of Padre on your system, you can make Padre your editor. Then the other thing that you might want to do is also make Firefox your default browser that will be used with XAMPP. I've also turned off everything here, all the checkboxes except for check the default ports on startup. Alright, so you want to set yours up the same way and hit save. Next thing I wanted to show you was that you'll notice I don't have anything running here, by the way, but next thing I wanted to show you was if you click on the Explorer button here, that will take you directly to the XAMPP folder. And I want to point out that this is where you put your HTML in the htdocs folder. This is where you're going to put all your CGI scripts. You save them with the .cgi file name extension. You put them in this folder here. Now, there's something important about htdocs. htdocs, when you install XAMPP, has got a lot of files and folders in it. You don't need them, with the exception of the 4 folders that you see here. So please delete everything out of your htdocs folder except these 4 folders that you see here. Now I have added an example that we're going to use for the lesson in this lesson, order form HTML. Now I'm going to load that up in just a minute. But I don't want to load it up right here. If I double click on it, it will load up in my browser, but I won't be serving it up with Apache server. Okay, but I just wanted to show you that you can delete everything except what you see here on the screen. And the reason for that is when you start up Apache, which you do like that, you want to make sure you see a little green indicator around the name of Apache. You'll notice that Apache uses ports 80 and 443. That's pretty standard for web servers. Now, if you click on admin, it will take you to your htdocs folder. Now you'll notice, you might notice here that the same folder names and the one file that we had show up here. If you hadn't done, if you don't do what I did by deleting those files and folders as indicated earlier, you're going to see something different here. You're going to see the XAMPP welcome screen. As a matter of fact, you're going to see that. Okay? That's because by default there are some files there that load this screen up. But we don't want that, okay? Not at the moment anyway. But we do want to see this screen here so we can quickly load up our web page forms. Okay, we can load up our HTML by selecting them from this list here. And as this course goes on, you're going to have more and more HTML files in here. Right now, I've got just the one, and you'll want to do this as well for lesson number 1. Okay, now, if I fire that up, I'm going to actually execute it here, and I'll just try some sample data, see what we get, and we'll try pens for signing the Declaration of Independence, and let's see, we'll go for 3 pens. And if we place the order, this should execute the CGI script. And there's the output of the CGI script. You'll notice up here, the URL has changed to CGI bin and then the name of the CGI script that we're executing. Now the reason that that did happen was because of how we programmed the HTML file and the CGI script. Okay, I'm just going to shut that down. Still got this running. That's good. I'm going to go to Explorer. I'm going to go to my htdocs folder one more time. This time I'm going to load this up in a cheesy little HTML editor that I use called Coffee Cup. And there's the HTML. Notice that we've got a very simple form here. There's what's going to run the CGI script. That's the action attribute that's going to run our script for us. And then we have in the form 4 text boxes: name, item, price, and quantity. And you'll notice that the name attribute here, that's what's important to making sure that your script is going to work in the CGI folder. Okay, so your text box name attributes will be how we'll access the data when we submit this form. So let's take a minute now. I'll just shut that down, and let's go back and take a look at the CGI bin folder. And here's the CGI file that we're actually executing. And since I've got it set up to load up in Padre, here it is in Padre, because we configured it that way. And there's the script. You'll see the script is actually copied in your document for this lesson, and you have this file that you can download. Now, what makes all this happen is right here. We're using the CGI-PM module in standard mode, and we're going to also set it up with CARP fails to browser, so that if we have any errors in our script, they'll show up on the screen. It can be very frustrating if you don't use this, because sometimes when your CGI script crashes, all you get is a blank page. You don't know what went wrong. CGI CARP helps you by showing you what your errors are. Then we have to tell the browser what content to expect. In this case, we're going to be sending HTML to the browser. And then we start reading the form data. And the CGI-PM module has a function called param, which allows us to use the values sent in from the form. And if you recall from we had the HTML page up, the text boxes had name attributes of username, item, quantity, and price. So that's how we'll read those values into Perl variables, and then we can manipulate them, do a little bit of math, and then finally we can generate some output. And you'll notice that to generate your output, you can embed HTML inside the strings that you're printing. And in this particular case also we're using printf for print format. And the way that works is you have to have a format string. Here's the entire format string, and then a comma, and then followed by any variable that you want to format. That's the variable $tax is going to be formatted according to this specifier here with 2 decimal places. So that's going to make it look like currency. And then there's one more thing here, and that is to actually show a $sign in the output of a string. You have to escape it with \$. Okay, so I hope that'll get you started. It's a simple form, but this is how CGI works. You have 2 parts to it. You got the HTML page in the htdocs folder of Apache. You've got your script in the CGI bin folder, and the web page, the HTML file, calls up the CGI script and passes its data into the script where we can read it because of the CGI-PM module. Hope that helps. Get back to me if you need any more help.